Okay, cool. Hello and welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Ty and I'm just an average trading card game player and fan here to spread some news on an upcoming TCG that I'm really excited about called Wixoss. It is pronounced like this, but it's spelled like this. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go. Because this is a brand new channel, I'm assuming most anyone coming across this video already knows about Wixoss and is excited for the upcoming November 7 release. But if you are new to the game, so am I. So hello and welcome. Entering a game as it releases is really exciting. I can't say that I've ever had the chance to do that before. Okay, we were like 10 seconds in and my battery died, so very successful start. But since everyone is on the same page and the card pool starts off really small, I thought it would just be the perfect time to start this channel and hop into a new trading card game. I thought it'd be nice to cover some of the products coming out for the first release in a bit more detail to possibly help people decide what decks they'd like to play or what they'd like to buy, and that's myself included, as well as just generating conversation about this game. Wixoss is established in Japan, but here in the West, it will definitely be a small fish in a big pond. And by that, I mean to say it's not so much the size of the pond that's the problem, but more so that all the resources seem to be dominated by three giant immortal fish. Anyways, today I'll be going over one of the starter decks coming out this November. It's titled Diva Debut Deck Ancient Surprise, and it looks really cool. Also, please keep in mind I got all this information straight from the English Wixoss Fan wiki page, like straight copy pasta from that website. So God bless whoever keeps that updated, you're a hero. Actually, I think I might know who runs it because they're also in the subreddit. Let me see. Yes, okay, this name here runs the fan wiki and is also mods the subreddit for Wixoss. So thank you. So anyways, that's just to say that a lot of you have probably seen the fan wiki before, and so this video really is kind of just regurgitated information, but I just thought it would be nice to kind of condense the info and, you know, like I said, just start conversation about the products. That way people can kind of get on board if they're brand new to the game, or if they're been interested in for a while, we can just be hyped together for when they release in just 1 month. All right, without further ado, let's hop right into Diva Debut Deck Ancient Surprise. Alrighty, so before we actually hop into the cards, I just wanted to throw out a quick disclaimer. So please keep in mind, I've never actually played the Wixoss TCG before. I know some people have, but a lot over here in the West haven't. There are some simulators, but they're not that accessible for the most part. Or they're just not being run or updated these days. So this is just to say that I am a huge fan of the anime and I know all the basic rules and the flow of the game. YouTube and the fan wiki are hugely helpful, but because I've never actually played, just keep in mind my comments towards these cards and their respective abilities are definitely coming from a general TCG standpoint with a very casual viewpoint as well. So just mainly going over the cards and not analyzing them too deeply. Just thought I'd let you guys know that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so starter deck Ancient Surprise. It consists of 51 cards, and there are 11 Elrig deck cards and 40 main deck cards. This deck's colors are green, blue, and red, with emphasis on green because the center Elrig is green. The Booster Pack Interlude Diva, which comes out alongside this deck, and I do hope to cover in another video, will provide support to switch the center Elrig of this deck. So you'll be able to focus on another color with those added cards from the Booster Pack, but right out of the box, this deck focuses on green. Speaking of, our center Elrig's name is Ott, the Open Gate. She's green, she has a cool design, and she doesn't have any abilities until level 3. But when she does grow to level 3, she gains an entrance ability that generates what seems to be quite a bit of enter. And then she also unlocks a once per turn team action in which she can power up 3 cygni on the field with plus 3000 power until the end of the turn. They do have to be different classes for this power up, but keep in mind, this deck's cygni are all different classes, every single one. So keep that in mind because with this ability and with many more in the deck, they do require different classes, but this deck has got you covered in that department. Now Ott does not perform solo, but has 2 assist Elrics to fight alongside her. The first up is Tawwal, the Awakened. Tawwal adds a splash of red to this deck and provides useful abilities as she grows from 0 to level 2. Assist Elrics only grow up to level 2, however, it seems like all of them have abilities at each step of the way. A big strategy in the Diva format of Wixoss is knowing which assist Elrig to grow and when to do so. When you choose to grow Tawwal to level 1, you'll be able to target one of your opponent's cygni with 8,000 or less power and vanish it, as well as draw and discard a card. This will only be able to be used during your turn, but it seems like a good early game option for you to clear up a bit of your opponent's board as you make your first round of attacks. Tawwal's level 2 ability is quite interesting, staying true to her card name. Depending on the different colored cygni you have on the field when she grows to level 2, she will grant you quite a few different options, ranging from vanishing opponent cygni to drawing cards to enter charging. I think this will be a good mid to late game ability, and I like the flexibility it gives you to prioritize what you might need in the given circumstance of your game. And this has nothing to do with strategy, but I really like this card's art design and is one of my personal faves throughout this deck. Umir, the wielder of the Key of Performing Salvation, is this deck's second assist Elrig. And yes, if you think she's also wielding an absurdly long card name, I'm right there with ya. However, she does have a really cool design and adds that splash of blue to our deck here. Upon growing to level 1, she's going to draw us a couple cards, which seems consistent and strong. I mean, everyone loves a pot of greed, right? And then once you grow her to level 2, you'll be able to down up to 2 of your opponent's cygni, the first one at no cost, and the second one being by paying 2 enter, with one of them being blue. Now, this ability here is actually really cool because you can use this during your opponent's attack phase. So if your opponent is lined up a few cygni and is ready to make that attack, you can grow your Umir to level 2 and then down 2 of their cygni, stopping them in their tracks. From what I've read about the Diva format, it is a bit on the rare side to find an assist Elrig that can respond during your opponent's turn. So it is really cool Umir can do that in this deck, and at least considering the initial card pool we're going to be dealing with, I think this card is one of the few that does have that attack phase response timing. So definitely keep that in mind with the structure of this deck. And yeah, that wraps up our Elrig deck. Oh, you know what? I actually lied. There is one last card in the Elrig deck, and that is our Peace card. Your Peace card is essentially a one-time use ability that you can play straight from your Elrig deck during your turn as long as you pay the cost and meet the conditions. Ancient Surprise's Peace card is called Harmonic Call. It has a heavy cost of 8 enter, but it does seem like a strong late game finisher. You start by excavating the top 8 cards of your deck, which seems like a good amount. You then look for one level 1, 2, and 3 cygni from those 8 cards, and you get to play them directly to your field. Not only do you get to summon these cygni, you also get to power them up with some special abilities that last for the end of the turn. The level 1 cygni gets granted Assassin, so it can deal damage to the opponent without actually battling the cygni in front of it. It can bypass it and directly attack the opponent. The level 2 cygni gets granted Double Crush, so it's going to cause 2 damage if it gets a successful attack on the opponent's life cloth this turn. And the level 3 cygni gets granted Lancer. This means that if it vanishes an opponent's cygni in battle this turn, it also gets to crush one of your opponent's life cloth. Kind of like a Lancer has a long range, so even though it destroys a cygni, it continues piercing and damages your opponent's life cloth. Another card in this deck can also give the Lancer effect to cygni, so we'll see that a bit later. But yeah, that is the Peace card for this deck called Harmonic Call, and I think it looks pretty strong. If you can pull it off, I think you'll be able to do a lot of damage in one turn. Okay, entering the main deck now, we're going to be looking at 10 different cards, and we'll briefly discuss each one. Up first is the level 1 cygni. We have 3 of them here. in this deck. This is what they look like, and we'll hop right into the first one. Camelopar Natural Planet. This cygni is green with power of 3000, and it has the constant ability which allows it to gain some more power as long as there's 3 different classes of cygni within your enter zone. And like I mentioned before, this deck is comprised of cygni with all different classes, so I don't imagine this ability to be too hard to pull off. And once it does, Camelopar will bump up to 7000 power, which is above average for a level 1 cygni from what I can tell, so not bad. Next up is Water Buffalo Water Phantom. This is a dual green and blue cygni with 5000 power. No ability here. This is a vanilla card, so pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure both the pre-constructed decks coming for this English release in November have some vanilla dual colored cygni, and I imagine it just keeps things balanced. Essentially, when you pay enter, you can have this card count for either color, whatever you need in that moment. And our last level 1 cygni is Servant Sharp. Servant Sharp is our guard cygni, a really important card for any deck, and actually is the only guard in the Diva format right now. So we will all get very acquainted with Miss Servant Sharp from what I can imagine. She has 1000 power and is a colorless cygni, so she can pay for any color of enter that you might need. And ideally, she finds your way to your hand so you can guard against your opponent's L-Rig attacks, which are normally unguardable. But if she does find your way to your life cloth, she does have a life burst ability, which grabs a cygni from your trash and adds it to your hand upon life burst. I think this is the only ability in this deck that can recycle cygni from the trash, so that is always helpful. Alright, moving on to the level 2 cygni. We have 3 of them in this deck, and this is what they look like. Sen no Rikyu Verdant General is our first level 2 cygni we'll talk about. She's green with 10,000 power. Now, she doesn't have any abilities while out on the field, but she does have a life burst that can gain some enter. And while I assume this is a really standard type of life burst, I do like to see an enter charge of 3 here within this single card, because as I've read about the Diva format, it seems like some decks do struggle with generating and maintaining consistent enter. Now, I'm pretty used to playing Vanguard, in which starting the turn in that game, when you grow or ride the Vanguard, it's completely free. But here in Wixoss, almost every single time you grow an L-Rig to the next level, you have to pay with enter. Keep in mind, the piece card of this deck has a pretty expensive enter cost as well, so I do think this card's ability will be much appreciated. Zwei Slow Loris is definitely the most interesting level 2 cygni in this deck. She is colored green and only has 3000 power. Now that's pretty low for a level 2, but her first ability should give her a constant 8000 as long as there are 3 different classes of cygni in the enter zone. So basically, roughly, you just need 3 enter and she's good to go there. But the second ability she has is what's really interesting. You can pay 3 enter, 2 of them being green, and then target another cygni on your field with at least 15,000 power and give it the Lancer ability. The Lancer ability is also in our piece card. It's really cool, so I'm really glad to see it again. Now, no cygni in our deck innately has 15,000 power. That is pretty darn strong. However, our level 3 cygni that we'll cover in a bit do give some power bonuses, and don't forget our center L-Rig Ott gives a pretty consistent 3000 power to the field once you're in the late stage of the game. So with that in mind, you can combo with Zwei Slow Loris here, and then you could potentially get some more Lancer attacks in, which I think is really cool. And last up, we have Koala, the Phantom Beast. Yeah, this is our other dual colored cygni, red and green, 10,000 power, no ability. Yeah, I'd say the most interesting choice about this card is just the art style. Yeah, you know what? Every other card in Wixoss is absolutely beautiful, so Wixoss, just do your thing. Do your thing. Alrighty, level 3 cygni are where it's really at in this game, from what I can tell. So let's just hop right in. This is what they look like, and you get 1 of each color in this deck. First up is Atalanta, Verdant Angel. This is your green level 3 cygni with 12,000 power and an enter ability. So upon entering the game, you can put 3 cygni with different classes from your enter zone into the trash and then vanish one of your opponent's cygni with power 8,000 or more. Now to me this seems like kind of a big cost, but it does remove a high powered cygni. We don't have any high power removal other than this in the deck, so that's pretty helpful. So just remember to charge that enter, kids, and you'll be good to go. Our blue level 3 cygni is named Asylum. Natural stone. Asylum. Asylum. I think it's Asylum. Okay, anyways, 12,000 power, and it has an auto ability that activates when she attacks. So if she has 15,000 or more power, when she attacks, your opponent discards a card from their hand. If it's 20,000 or more, then they don't get to choose which card they're discarding. It'll be random. Now this effect doesn't scream super effective or helpful in my opinion. Perhaps you can pluck out a guard from their hand, which would be ideal and really awesome. However, getting up to the 20,000 power is difficult because there's only 2 cards in this deck that can grant power. One of them we're about to meet, and the other one being our center Elrig Ott can give cygni 3,000 power in the late game. So just getting up to 20,000 seems kind of hard, and if they can choose which card they're going to discard, they're probably not going to discard their guard. So yeah, this ability seems okay. I really can't tell. Like I said, I've never played this game, so just trying to guesstimate what this ability can do. Asylum here does get a life burst though that can target an opponent's cygni, down it, and freeze it, and then you get to draw a card. I really like this life burst. It gives some more interaction during your opponent's attack phase. So when your opponent is swinging in for multiple attacks and this card's in your life cloth, you can then down and freeze one of their cygni, disrupting their attack, and then also disrupting their next turn because it's frozen, they can't stand up. So yeah, Asylum, I like your life burst, and I like your name. Yeah, your name. It's not confusing at all. All right, moving on. Tobi full armed is our final cygni. We have come so far. She's red with 12,000 power and has a couple different abilities. One of them being upon entering, you can discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. This seems pretty helpful at the end of the game or mid game. You're probably looking for something specific. Maybe you can use this to get a guard into your hand, so not bad. Also, an auto ability for Tobi is whenever she attacks, she grants 5,000 power to another one of your cygni on the field until the end of the turn. I think this is quite a bit of power, so I think this will be a good general help for all of your attacking. But like I mentioned before, this is going to bump up some of the power thresholds that our earlier abilities were mentioning. So yeah, it seems pretty good and pretty consistent. Tobi also has a life burst similar to Asylum's, in which you can potentially stop one of your opponent's attacks. Not a guarantee, but you can. If they attack and one of their cygni is still up, you can vanish it, and that seems pretty good. And our final card is our spell card. Polygenesis is our one and only spell. It costs 1 green enter to activate, and upon doing so, you can target a green cygni from your enter zone and add it to your hand. If you have 3 Ancient Surprise Elrigs on your field, which hint hint, you definitely do with this deck, you get to target any cygni from your enter zone and add it to your hand. I think this is actually going to be pretty helpful. It can help your combo stay a bit more consistent. For example, if you need a certain colored cygni out of the enter zone to help with tawwal Rainbow's effect, or maybe you need to grab a level 3 cygni that's in there, or hey, maybe even if a guard that was in your life cloth winds up in your enter zone, you can get it back with this spell. So that's going to be pretty helpful, I think, and it doesn't cost much. Also, this card has a life burst. Seems pretty strong and defensive, and it can also obstruct one of our opponent's attacks. So that's always good to see. I guess it doesn't even have to obstruct an attack. I'm naturally thinking that way because life bursts go off during the attack phase, But yeah, it's just removal in general. So don't even have to abstract anything, just removal. We love removal. Okay. Okay, that was a lot of talking. Is anyone else tired after all that? Just kidding, I can never get tired about talking about card games. I need friends. So, this is the part of the video where I was planning to share my overall thoughts about this deck now that we've covered, you know, all the components of it and went through all of the cards. However, I think we kind of covered all of my thoughts now that I think about it. I feel like I can only have so many initial thoughts without having actually played the game yet. So I most likely will wait for the cards to come out, you know, and use this deck, get my hands on it, and then I would be happy to revisit this specific deck if anyone would be interested in that. And I might as well end up making videos where I upgrade the Diva debut decks with the booster pack that's coming out, just to show my process with updating it. Essentially, as this card game officially comes out and we get to finally play with the cards, I'm gonna be learning a lot, so I most likely will make videos along the way just to share my process and, you know, really just talk about the game, which is always a good time. And other than that, I just wanted to thank any and everyone that watches this video. This is the first video I've made in a long time, so I apologize if I was too rambly with my thoughts or, you know, just straight up boring. This could have been the most boring video of all time. Cheers to that. Like I said before, I could talk about card games forever, so I think the video turned out okay. Again, I seriously took all of this information straight from the fan wiki, although most of you probably already use that site all the time. I will link that down below. Huge thank you to all who keep that site and the fan pages and the Reddit, you know, updated. You guys rock. And lastly, I have some shout outs. One is a huge shout out to a creator here on YouTube named tcgAcademia. They have a channel, I'll link it down below, as well as the Wixoss blog that they run. I will link that down below as well. He has some really good explanatory type videos of how to play the game, the different formats of Wixoss, and, you know, actually footage of using the cards, which is just really helpful, honestly. And then the blog as well is a great resource for anyone interested in the game. It goes more into depth on the strategy of the game, the Diva format specifically, and it kind of breaks down the structure decks that are in Diva right now. So yeah, just wanted to give credit to the work he's done. It's awesome and I learned a lot from it. And the second shout out goes to a creator named phillup. He released a video yesterday, which is good timing, and it is basically how to play Wixoss for the Diva format. It's an awesome video, the explanations are super clear, and I think this is gonna be really helpful so we can show new players and spread the word about how to play this game as, you know, we get closer to the official release. So his video is down below, definitely give it a watch, or if anyone's wondering how to play, link this one, it's really good explanation. And yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. It was really fun talking about this game as I have just been a fan of the show for years now. It's crazy that we get to discuss the actual cards and that we get to actually play with them soon. It's gonna be good. So thanks for sticking around and watching this, and I do hope to make more videos talking about the other products coming out soon. And yeah, cheers to the game coming out in less than a month. All right, I'll see you guys around.